The unexpected arrival. The vastness of space had always been home to countless alien races. They had fought battles, built empires, and explored the stars. But no one had ever seen anything like this. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled over the cosmos with an iron fist, and no species dared challenge their authority. The universe was divided into powerful factions, each with its own agenda. But everything changed the moment Earth entered the scene. It all started on a regular day. The galaxy's advanced alien races were engaged in a fierce war that stretched across star systems. The Xinthians, a race of highly intelligent, towering warriors, had just launched a devastating attack on the Draxa Federation, leaving entire planets in ruin. Victory seemed within their grasp. But then something strange happened. A flicker appeared in the darkness of space, barely noticeable, like a ghost passing through the stars. It was a small, unassuming fleet, no more than a handful of ships, yet they were unlike any the aliens had ever seen. The fleet didn't belong to any known race. The galaxy's watchful eyes turned toward this mysterious force. Alien scouts sent to investigate were quickly silenced. The ships were faster than anything the Xinthians or the Draxas had ever encountered. Each ship, despite being smaller in size, seemed to have an otherworldly power within it. No one could explain it. The ships did not belong to the Xinthian or Draxa factions. So, who were they? The truth came crashing down when a massive explosion lit up the darkness of space. A Xinthian warship, a mighty vessel that had struck fear into countless species, was obliterated in a single strike. The blast echoed across the cosmos, sending shockwaves through the galaxy. The alien commanders were stunned. What just happened? One of the Draxa generals muttered, his voice trembling. Their systems had no readings of any ship that could deal such a blow. Then the transmission came. A voice, clear and strong, echoed across the alien communications channels. "This is the Earth fleet. We have arrived." The universe froze. Earth, the small, insignificant planet in the far corner of the galaxy. How could this be? The aliens had never even considered humanity a threat. They had never seen Earth as anything more than a primitive world, isolated from the galaxy's vast power struggles. But now Earth had made its presence known, and it was a force to be reckoned with. The aliens scrambled to understand the significance of this message. Could these humans really have the power to destroy one of their most powerful ships? They sent out waves of scouts, eager to learn more about this mysterious Earth fleet, but they found nothing. What they did discover was even more unsettling. Earth's fleet wasn't just small and powerful, it was equipped with technology far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. But how? On Earth, humanity was just as confused as the aliens. Scientists scrambled to uncover how their technology had suddenly surpassed that of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. No one could explain it. The power source that had powered these ships, an energy unlike any known to humankind, was a mystery. It was as if Earth had tapped into a force hidden deep within the universe, and the humans didn't know how they had done it. But one thing was clear. Earth was no longer just a small planet hiding in the shadows. They were a force that could change the fate of the galaxy. Back in space, the Alien Council held an emergency meeting. The Xinthians, Draxas, and several other factions sent their leaders to discuss the new threat. Their world was thrown into chaos. No one knew what humanity wanted or what their true power was. All they knew was that they could no longer ignore Earth. The Xinthian general, who had once laughed at the idea of humans being a threat, was now silent. His once confident demeanor had cracked. "We cannot underestimate them," he finally said, his voice grave. "They are not the weaklings we thought." The Draxa leader, who had always seen humanity as nothing more than primitive animals, now found himself filled with fear. They must be eliminated before they can become a real threat. But even as the alien leaders plotted, the humans were preparing for something far greater. Back on Earth, the leaders of the planet were meeting to discuss their next steps. They had no idea how they had gained such powerful technology, but they knew that they had a responsibility to protect their world. The situation was dire. War had come to their doorstep, and now they had to fight. President Eva Harris, a strong and determined leader, stood before her advisors. "We don't know how we got this technology, but it doesn't matter. We need to make our stand. The galaxy is watching us, and we can't back down now." Her voice rang with confidence, and though her heart was filled with fear, she knew this was their moment. Humanity was no longer just observers in the cosmos. They were players. As Earth prepared to enter the war, the aliens watched in silence. Could they defeat this unknown force? Could humanity really challenge them? The answer, unknown to both sides, was just beginning to unfold. Humanity's arrival in space had not only stunned the cosmos, it had set the stage for a battle that no one could have predicted. Would Earth's unexpected appearance in the war change everything? Or would it be just another footnote in the history of the galaxy's struggles? One thing was certain, the cosmos had never seen anything like humanity before. And now the battle had begun. The mysterious power. The galaxy was in chaos. For the first time in millennia, the alien empires were uncertain. Humanity, once considered a primitive species barely worth acknowledging, had emerged from the shadows of the cosmos with power and technology that defied all understanding. The question that hung in the air was not just how Earth had attained such power, but what kind of future they would shape for the galaxy. Back on Earth, the world was holding its breath. News outlets, military leaders, and even the most powerful scientific minds were consumed by one burning question: where did humanity's mysterious power come from? President Eva Harris convened an emergency meeting with the top scientists and strategists in an underground facility deep beneath the surface of Earth. The atmosphere was heavy, filled with equal parts hope and uncertainty. The world's leading minds had been working around the clocks since the Earth fleet's unexpected arrival in space, but they still hadn't found a clear answer. "We need answers," President Harris said, her voice calm but stern. "The entire galaxy is watching us. If we don't understand this technology, it will be impossible to control." Dr. Samuel Carter, the head of Earth's leading space research institute, stood up, his face pale from lack of sleep. He'd spent the past week examining the power source behind their newly developed fleet, and the results were nothing short of extraordinary. He cleared his throat, his voice barely above a whisper. "What we're dealing with, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. This technology doesn't belong to us." The room fell silent. Carter's words hung in the air, chilling everyone in the room. "What do you mean?" asked General Raphael Thompson, the leader of Earth's newly formed military command, his brow furrowed in frustration. "How could it not belong to us? We built the ships." "That's just it," Carter replied. "We didn't build them, not in the way you think. The ships are constructed from materials that shouldn't even exist in our reality. And the energy source, it's not even from this universe." A ripple of disbelief ran through the room. The entire planet had watched as their small fleet of ships destroyed alien warships with ease. But now, the reality of their power was sinking in. If they hadn't built it, who had? General Thompson's voice cut through the tension. "We need a weapon to fight the war. Are you saying we can't control this technology?" "I don't know," Carter admitted, his voice thick with uncertainty. "We've been trying to reverse engineer it, but it's almost like the ships have a mind of their own. They respond to the will of the pilot, almost as if they are alive." The room went deathly quiet. Was humanity being controlled by a technology they didn't understand, or had they tapped into something greater than themselves? Outside the facility, the world was erupting with rumors. Conspiracy theorists claimed that the sudden arrival of Earth's fleet was part of a larger plan. Some speculated that humanity was being guided by an ancient alien race, or that they had discovered a hidden weapon from the distant past of their own planet. But no one knew the truth. The only certainty was that Earth had changed the course of galactic history. Meanwhile, In the deep recesses of space, the alien factions were reeling from the discovery that humanity had more than just advanced weapons. They had tapped into an unknown power. The Draxa High Council convened immediately to discuss the new threat, their once calm demeanor now replaced with a nervous tension that spread across their ranks. "What are we dealing with here?" asked Draxa's Supreme Commander Keller, his voice sharp. "How are they able to use energy sources that defy every law of physics we know?" Xinthian Grand Strategist Zorath adjusted his glasses as he reviewed the data. "It's unlike anything we've seen. The energy signatures of Earth's ships suggest they are powered by an unknown quantum field, a field that doesn't exist in our galaxy." Another member of the council, a Gorthon warlord known for his brutal efficiency, spoke up. "We need to strike now before Earth can fully understand their new power. If they harness it, they could become the most dangerous species in the galaxy." "No," Zorath countered, his voice cold and calculated. "We need to understand this power first. If Earth is not just a random anomaly, but a species capable of manipulating universal forces, we could either destroy them, or we could ally with them." The idea of an alliance with humans, however, left a bitter taste in the mouths of most on the council. The concept of allying with a species that had once been nothing more than a curiosity seemed ludicrous. But Zorath's proposal wasn't born of weakness, it was born of fear. The galaxy's power dynamics had just shifted, and no one knew which side humanity would choose. Back on Earth, Dr. Carter and his team of scientists had made an unsettling discovery. The energy source driving the ships was not only advanced, it was intelligent. As they dug deeper into the technology, they found evidence of alien symbols encoded into the ship's core systems, symbols that seemed to resonate with something within the very fabric of space-time. "It's like it was, waiting for us," Dr. Carter murmured, staring at the holographic images before him. "These ships were made for someone, and that someone is us." He wasn't sure if this revelation was a blessing or a curse, but one thing was clear. Humanity had unwittingly become part of something much larger than they could have ever imagined. The question now was, what would they do with it? As Earth prepared for its next steps, the galaxy watched, torn between fear and fascination. The cosmos was no longer a place where the mighty ruled uncontested. Humanity had just entered the fight, and their mysterious power promised to change everything. Would they use their newfound strength to defend their home, or would they become the next great empire to dominate the stars? For now, that was a question no one could answer. But the universe was about to find out. Humanity's strength. The galactic war raged on, with each faction vying for dominance across the stars. But now there was an unexpected twist: the human species. Once seen as weak, Earth had suddenly become the wild card of the universe, a force no one could predict or control. The alien powers were on edge, unable to fathom how a species so young, so unknown, could bring such an imbalance to the battlefield. In the dark reaches of space, the human fleet continued to surprise everyone. It wasn't just their technology that confounded the aliens, it was their very nature. The humans had something the aliens could not comprehend: resilience. The Xinthians, known for their unmatched strength and technological prowess, were used to overwhelming their enemies with sheer power. Yet, when they faced off against humanity, they were forced to change their approach. Earth's ships might not have been the largest or the most advanced in terms of firepower, but the human crews were unlike anything the Xinthians had encountered before. Captain Elijah Foster of the human fleet was a prime example. Despite being outmatched by a Xinthian dreadnought, Foster's tactical genius and unyielding determination turned the tide of battle. His ship, the Resolute, was a modest vessel compared to the alien warships, but its crew fought with a courage the Xinthians hadn't seen in centuries. The battle had started with the Xinthian dreadnought opening fire, unleashing an overwhelming barrage of missiles and plasma beams. The Resolute was outgunned, and within moments, the human ship took several hits, its shields flickering dangerously. "Hold steady," Foster shouted to his crew. "Return fire, every shot counts. We can't let them know we're weak." Foster's voice was calm, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. The Xinthians had expected humanity to fold under pressure. Instead, they were witnessing something completely new. Humans were fighting with everything they had, driven not just by the need to survive, but by the will to prove their worth in the stars. Foster's crew worked in unison, pushing the ship to its limits. The human fleet had learned to improvise quickly, using clever tactics to make up for their technological disadvantages. They darted in and out of the asteroid fields, using the debris as cover to dodge enemy fire. The Resolute wasn't fast enough to escape the Xinthian dreadnought's attacks, but it was cunning enough to make the Xinthians waste precious resources chasing an enemy that wouldn't stand still. For the first time in the war, the Xinthians were forced to respect humanity. This was no longer a battle of firepower alone. The humans had brought something to the fight that the aliens could not replicate: ingenuity. Back at Earth's command center, President Ava Harris watched the battle unfold on a holographic display. The human fleet had successfully turned the Xinthians' arrogance into a weakness, exploiting their predictable attacks and heavy reliance on brute force. Harris smiled. "It's working. We're not just surviving, we're winning." But it wasn't just Foster who had proven humanity's strength. Across the galaxy, human soldiers were making their mark in ways no one had expected. The sheer adaptability of the human mind, its ability to innovate on the fly, to think outside the box, was becoming a game changer. On the war-torn world of Tormac 7, a once-abandoned human colony was now a key staging ground for Earth's forces. The Tormakians, a race of warlike aliens, had initially viewed humans as weak and easy prey. But after a series of skirmishes, they began to understand that Earth's fighters weren't ordinary soldiers. They weren't just following orders, they were thinking in ways the Tormakians couldn't predict. Private Jessica Tran, a combat veteran from Earth, had led a small squad of human soldiers through one of the most dangerous guerrilla missions on Tormac 7. Her team had been tasked with sabotaging a Tormakian supply line, an operation that should have been impossible. The Tormakians had superior numbers, advanced weaponry, and a ruthless, unyielding strategy. But Tran's squad had something the Tormakians didn't: the will to succeed, no matter the odds. Using their knowledge of the alien terrain, Tran and her team set up elaborate traps using nothing more than basic tools and their wits. The Tormakians, used to straightforward tactics, warped straight into the trap. Within hours, a Tormakian convoy had been destroyed, without a single human casualty. When Tran reported back to Earth's command, her success was hailed as a turning point. It wasn't just the humans' technology that was changing the tide, it was their spirit. Back on the battlefield, the Xinthian fleet was starting to break. Their dreadnoughts, once the undisputed titans of space, were now vulnerable. The relentless human attacks, their unconventional tactics, and their refusal to give up were making the alien invaders question their superiority. The humans were making every battle costlier for the Xinthians, and soon their losses would be too great to ignore. But the Draxes, watching from the sidelines, weren't quite ready to give up their plans. The Draxa Council had been closely observing humanity's progress, and while some of their leaders feared the humans, others saw an opportunity. "Perhaps it is time," Draxa Supreme Commander Keller said to his council, "to test their strength more directly. If they are truly the warriors they appear to be, they could become powerful allies." It was clear that humanity's growing strength had become a new force to be reckoned with. The question now was no longer if Earth could survive, but how far they would go. The galaxy's old powers were beginning to understand that this small, seemingly insignificant planet might not just be a wild card, but a dominant force in the cosmos. And as Earth's fleet continued to push deeper into alien space, the rest of the galaxy had to face a terrifying truth. Humanity was no longer the weak, helpless species it had once been. They were fighters, winners, and they were changing the rules of the game. But as they gained more ground, the stakes grew higher. Soon the question wouldn't just be about whether humanity could survive the war. It would be about whether they could change the entire balance of power in the galaxy. The cosmos was watching, and for the first time, it wasn't the old, powerful civilizations that held the fate of the galaxy in their hands. It was humanity. The price of victory. The human fleet had gained a reputation that stretched across the stars. From the Zinthean battlefields to the Draxa strongholds, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer a species to be ignored. But as their victories piled up, so too did the cost of war. The question now wasn't just whether humanity could win, but how much they were willing to sacrifice for that victory. In the cold vacuum of space, Earth's fleet had encountered their first real defeat. It wasn't a crushing loss, but a humbling one. The human fleet had been drawn into a trap set by the Draxa Empire, a cunning counterattack that exploited the one weakness humanity had: their lack of experience in galactic warfare. Admiral Nathan Hawke, a seasoned war veteran who had risen through the ranks after Earth's sudden emergence in space, watched as his ship, the Vanguard, took fire from Draxa warships. His fleet had been lured into an asteroid field, a treacherous region that offered no cover from the Draxa's more advanced targeting systems. Evasive maneuvers, keep your distance from the asteroids. Hawke barked into the comms, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around him. The ships were doing everything they could to evade the Draxa fire, but their inexperience in these types of space battles was showing. The Vanguard took another hit, this time a direct strike to its outer shields, sending a tremor through the ship. Crew members scrambled to stabilize the systems, but the damage was spreading quickly. "We can't hold out much longer, Admiral," shouted Lieutenant Anna Green from the weapons station. "We're running low on energy. Shields are failing." Hawke gritted his teeth. For all their technological advancements, humanity was still learning the harsh realities of war. The Draxa fleet was massive, and their ships were equipped with the latest in destructive firepower. They had outmaneuvered the humans at every turn. But despite the odds, Hawke wasn't ready to give up. "Not yet. We're not done," he said, determination in his voice. "Prepare the secondary engines. We're going to use the asteroid field as a weapon." In the heat of the moment, Hawke's plan was risky, perhaps too risky. The idea was to use the Vanguard's secondary propulsion systems to create a massive shockwave by detonating the nearby asteroids. If successful, it could disrupt the Draxa fleet's formation and give the humans a chance to escape. But it was a one-way gambit. If it failed, they would be sitting ducks. The crew worked furiously as the ship maneuvered through the asteroid field, using its damaged engines to slingshot around debris, placing themselves in the perfect position to trigger the shockwave. Hawke's heart raced as the final calculations were made. "Now," he shouted. In that instant, the Vanguard fired its last remaining charge, setting off a series of massive explosions across the asteroid field. The shockwave erupted, sending shockwaves of debris and radiation out into the Draxa formation. The Draxa ships faltered, their formations thrown into disarray. But it came at a cost. The explosion sent the Vanguard spinning out of control, its systems completely overloaded. Hawke could feel the ship's hull creaking as it fought to maintain structure, but the damage was too extensive. The shields flickered and died. The power grid was collapsing. There was no way the Vanguard would survive this. "We need to retreat, Admiral," Lieutenant Green shouted, panic creeping into her voice. "We're done here." Hawke took one last look at the battle unfolding around him. The Draxes were disoriented, but not defeated. The human fleet had made a temporary escape, but they had sacrificed a precious ship and many lives in the process. "Get us out of here, now," Hawke ordered, his voice calm, though inside he felt a deep sense of loss. "We've done enough." The Vanguard limped away from the battle, but as it drifted into the depths of space, the reality of the loss began to sink in. The humans had won a small victory by crippling the Draxa fleet's formation, but they had lost a ship, and with it, many brave men and women. Back on Earth, President Ava Harris stood before the United Nations. addressing the world in a somber tone. The news of the Vanguard's damage had just reached her, and she knew the world needed to hear the truth. Humanity had taken its first blow in the war. "Our fleet is not invincible," Harris said, her voice resolute. "We have fought hard, but there will be more battles, and there will be losses. But this is not the time to falter. This is the time to stand together, stronger than ever before. We must honor those who've fallen and keep moving forward." Her words resonated with the people of Earth, but they were also a stark reminder of the price of war. For all their technological advancements, humanity was still learning the true cost of survival. And that cost wasn't just measured in ships or weapons, it was measured in lives. Across the galaxy, the alien factions were watching the humans more closely than ever. They had underestimated Earth, but now they saw a species that was resilient, one that could rise even after defeat. The question wasn't whether the humans would fall, it was how much they could endure before they became unstoppable. Back in space, the human fleet regrouped, preparing for the next phase of the war. They knew the battle wasn't over, and the road ahead would be difficult. But one thing was certain, humanity had already proven that they could withstand anything the galaxy threw at them. As the human fleet set its sights on the next challenge, the question remained: would the cost of their victory be too high? Or would humanity continue to push forward, no matter the price? The galaxy was about to find out. The unseen ally. As the war raged on, the human fleet continued to adapt. But the burden of battle weighed heavily on every ship and every soldier. The losses from the Draxar ambush still haunted their minds, and the crew of the Vanguard was no exception. Yet, despite these challenges, humanity's resolve remained unbroken. It was clear now that Earth wasn't just a player in the galactic war. It was becoming a force that even the most powerful empires feared. However, humanity was not alone. Unknown to the human forces, a silent observer had been watching their every move, hidden in the dark folds of space. The mysterious ally was an ancient, long-forgotten race, the Valorians. Legends about the Valorians had been dismissed as myth by most in the galaxy. The Valorians were said to be a once great civilization that had vanished millennia ago, leaving behind only whispers of their power. Their ships, their technology, their knowledge, gone. Also, it was believed. But they hadn't disappeared entirely. In a remote corner of the galaxy, deep within a nebula that even the most advanced scanners had difficulty penetrating, the Valorian fleet waited. For centuries, they had remained in the shadows, observing the galaxy's power dynamics from afar. And when Earth's fleet had emerged, they had seen something they hadn't expected: potential. Humanity's relentless spirit, their ingenuity in battle, and their ability to evolve at an unprecedented rate had caught the Valorians' attention. The Valorians had been reluctant to intervene. They were a race of immense wisdom and power, but they had learned the hard way that meddling in the affairs of other species often led to unintended consequences. However, after watching humanity repeatedly defy the odds and show an uncanny ability to overcome adversity, the Valorians made a decision. It was time to offer their aid. But how could they do so without revealing themselves? Humanity had already proven that they could handle themselves in battle, but they were still outnumbered by the great alien empires. And there was a greater danger looming, something far more dangerous than any of them had yet to encounter. Back on Earth, President Ava Harris was in the midst of a heated discussion with her military commanders. The Xinthian forces had been quiet for weeks, and intelligence suggested that the Draxar Empire was preparing to strike again. But this time, it was different. The human fleet was outgunned and outnumbered, and they had lost crucial strategic resources in recent battles. "We're running out of options," General Raphael Thompson said, his voice tense as he examined the latest reports. "If we don't act soon, the Draxars could push us back to Earth." Harris nodded grimly. She knew the stakes. Every decision, every move had consequences. The cost of victory was high, and Earth had already paid a heavy price. The next battle could determine everything. Then, just as hope seemed to be slipping away, an unexpected message arrived. a transmission that Earth's scientists could not trace. It wasn't from any known alien empire. The source was unidentifiable. Yet, the message was clear. We are watching and we are ready to help. The transmission was encrypted, its origins mysterious. But the message it carried was undeniable, an offer of assistance, a promise of technology that could change the course of the war. How is this possible? Dr. Samuel Carter, the head of Earth's advanced research team, asked aloud as he studied the message. There's no record of any species with this level of technology. This transmission isn't from any race we've encountered. President Harris's heart raced. Was this a trap? Or had Earth just stumbled upon an unexpected ally? She turned to her generals. Prepare the fleet. We'll accept their help, but with caution. This could be a game changer, but it could also be a risk. As the message continued to play, the human fleet moved into position, wary but hopeful. What could these mysterious benefactors offer? And why had they waited until now to reveal themselves? The answer came sooner than they expected. On the edge of human-controlled space, near the Tormac 7 system, a strange object appeared on the horizon, something that no one had ever seen before. A ship, enormous and unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Its structure shimmered with an iridescent glow, as if it were not built from metal, but woven from pure light. It wasn't like anything in the galaxy. It was more organic. The human fleet paused, waiting for orders. The sight of this ship, clearly not from any known alien race, sent ripples of unease through the command center. President Harris, along with Admiral Hawke, watched as the ship slowly moved into position above their fleet. It didn't make any aggressive maneuvers, nor did it send out any weapons signals. It simply hovered, silent and watchful. We need to approach it carefully, Harris said, her voice steady but filled with a hint of awe. This could be our chance, or it could be a trap. But as the ship's interior lights flickered to life, a voice echoed through the comm system. It wasn't in any language the humans had ever heard, yet somehow, the message was clear, translated directly into their minds. We are the Valorians, the voice said. We have watched your kind from the shadows. We offer you our knowledge. The war you fight is but a small part of a greater conflict. The true enemy is yet to come. The words sent a chill down the spine of everyone listening. The Valorians spoke of something larger, something beyond the galaxy's current war, a threat that humanity couldn't yet comprehend. We will share with you the knowledge you need, the voice continued. But know this. What you are about to face will test you in ways no one has ever been tested before. Do not take this gift lightly. The message ended, and for a moment, the fleet was silent. The enormity of the situation weighed heavily on everyone. The Valorians had extended a hand, but at what cost? What was this true enemy they spoke of? And why had they waited until now to reveal themselves? We have no choice but to accept their offer, President Harris said, her voice filled with resolve. We're facing something far greater than we ever imagined. The galaxy is about to change. As the human fleet cautiously began to dock with the Valorian ship, they had no way of knowing what would come next. What would this ancient race teach them? And how would humanity's future be shaped by this unseen ally? One thing was certain, the war was far from over. The true battle had yet to begin, and humanity was about to face a threat unlike anything they had ever imagined, the ancient knowledge. As the Valorian ship loomed above Earth's fleet, its appearance alone was enough to leave the human crew in awe. The sheer scale of it was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, vast, majestic, and seemingly alive. It radiated an almost ethereal glow, its surface shifting in patterns that suggested a higher form of intelligence. The humans cautiously approached, their ships in tight formation around the massive alien vessel. President Eva Harris and Admiral Nathan Hawke, along with a select group of scientists and military strategists, were preparing to board the Valorian ship. The weight of the moment pressed down on them. What knowledge could these mysterious beings offer? And why had they waited until now to reveal themselves? Inside the Valorian ship, the humans were met with an atmosphere unlike anything they had ever encountered. The interior seemed to breathe, the walls shifting and pulsating with an organic energy that felt almost alive. The air was thick with an ancient power, a sense of timeless wisdom that surrounded them like a comforting cloak. A voice resonated in their minds, the same voice that had spoken over the comms. "Welcome, children of Earth. You have come seeking knowledge. But know this, the knowledge we offer is not without consequence. What you learn will shape your destiny, but it may also burden you beyond measure." President Harris felt the weight of the words, her mind racing with possibilities. What kind of knowledge could be so dangerous, she wondered, but she steadied herself, knowing that humanity had already faced the unimaginable and come through stronger for it. The group was led deeper into the ship, where they were introduced to a massive central chamber. In the middle of the room stood a crystalline structure, glowing with a soft light. It was both beautiful and terrifying, as if it was some kind of ancient artifact that held the answers to the universe itself. The Valorian presence was tangible now, almost palpable, as if they were everywhere and nowhere at once. The humans were awestruck, yet anxious. They had been brought here to receive knowledge, but there was an unsettling sense that they weren't in control. "Is this the place where you will teach us?" Admiral Hawke asked, his voice steady, though his eyes flickered with uncertainty. "What is it that you want from us in exchange?" The voice spoke again, but this time it was not just one entity, it was a chorus, a harmonious collective of minds. "What we ask in return is your trust. You will be tested, as we were tested long ago. The path we now walk is one of great peril, but also of great opportunity. We offer you the tools to survive, to thrive, and to conquer the darkness that is coming. But remember, those who possess this knowledge will always be bound by it. The burden of understanding is not light." The Valorians did not offer weapons or simple tactics. What they offered was far more profound, an understanding of the cosmos itself. Their knowledge transcended technology. It was the manipulation of space, time, and the very fabric of reality. They spoke of ancient civilizations that had risen and fallen, of cosmic forces beyond comprehension, and of enemies that had long been watching from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. "We were once like you," the voice continued, "a species eager to learn, to grow, to expand. But we learned too much too quickly, and it nearly destroyed us. The knowledge you now seek is as powerful as it is dangerous. The enemy that waits for you is beyond anything your kind has ever faced." The humans exchanged uneasy glances. What enemy? Before they could voice their questions, the crystalline structure before them shifted, and a holographic image began to project itself into the room. It was an image of a dark star, flickering, dying, yet pulsating with an unnatural force. The image zoomed in, showing not just a star, but the core of a vast and terrible ship, an entity that seemed to draw all light into itself. "This," the Valorian voice intoned, "is the true enemy, the Dark One, a being not of this universe, but of another. It has been waiting, watching, and now it is coming for you. It was the one who destroyed our civilization, and now it has set its sights on your world." The words hit like a thunderclap. The Dark One was no mere army or alien species. It was something older, darker, and far more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever known. The humans recoiled, shaken by the revelation. The Valorians continued. "It feeds on the life force of entire systems, draining the stars themselves. It does not seek power in the way you understand it. It seeks only the end, an end to all things." Harris stood frozen, her mind struggling to process the enormity of the threat. She had thought the war with the Xinthians and Draxes was the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. But this was something else entirely. How could they possibly defeat such an enemy? The Valorians, sensing their doubt, spoke again. "The path to defeating the Dark One lies not in brute force, but in mastery of the very fabric of reality. You must learn to manipulate space, to bend time, to harness the power of the cosmos itself. This is what we will teach you." The holographic image shifted once more, showing a series of complicated, almost abstract symbols, patterns that seemed to pulse with energy. These symbols, the Valorians explained, were the key to unlocking this power. Humanity had the potential to learn, to understand these cosmic forces, but it would take time. The humans would need to train, to grow in ways they never thought possible. Their minds would need to expand, to stretch beyond the limits of their species' current understanding. Admiral Hawke stepped forward, his eyes filled with determination. "We're ready. We've come this far. Whatever it takes, we'll do it. Humanity will not back down." The Valorians remained silent for a moment, their collective consciousness weighing the decision. Finally, the voice returned. "Very well. You will begin the process of learning. But remember, this knowledge is not a gift. It is a responsibility. A burden. Use it wisely, and you may save your world. Misuse it, and you will doom yourselves to the same fate as the civilizations that came before you." The chamber grew quiet as the humans prepared to receive the knowledge they so desperately needed. As they began the process of connecting with the Valorian consciousness, their minds expanded, flooding with information that seemed impossible to comprehend. They saw the universe as it truly was, vast, interconnected, and fragile, and they saw what lay ahead. The Dark One was coming, and humanity had to be ready, but they were no longer alone. With the Valorians' guidance, they would learn to fight a battle unlike anything they had ever imagined. The real war had only just begun. The final confrontation. The time had come. The knowledge humanity had gained from the Valorians had transformed them, reshaping the very core of their understanding of the universe. No longer just a species of survival and war, humanity had evolved into something more, a force capable of manipulating the very fabric of reality. The tools the Valorians had provided were now at their disposal, and the stakes had never been higher. President Ava Harris stood before the War Council, her gaze fixed on the star map that stretched across the room. The fleet was ready. The training, the preparation, it was all leading to this final confrontation. Earth's forces had grown stronger, but they were still facing an unknown enemy, one that existed beyond their comprehension. The Dark One was drawing closer. Its presence had already begun to affect the cosmos, stars flickering out of existence, entire systems devoured by a black hole-like force. It had already begun its march towards Earth, and there was no turning back. "Everything we've learned, everything we've sacrificed, will come down to this," Harris said, her voice unwavering. "The fate of the galaxy depends on us." Admiral Nathan Hawke, now a leader not just of the fleet, but of a new kind of warfare, turned to her. "The Valorians told us that defeating the Dark One isn't about strength or firepower. It's about understanding the universe. We've seen it, their symbols, the forces that govern space and time. We need to fight on a different level." Hawke's words echoed in the minds of the commanders. This was no longer a fight for territory or power. This was a battle for existence itself. The fleet had prepared for what they were about to do, but the magnitude of the task was overwhelming. The Dark One was not just an enemy, it was a force of nature, an entity that transcended all known life. As the fleet departed Earth, heading into deep space toward the heart of the Dark One's advancing presence, humanity's resolve was put to the ultimate test. Ships that once relied on speed and firepower now glowed with the Valorian power. The battle wasn't to be fought with weapons, but with the very laws of nature themselves. Every ship, every soldier, was now a conduit for the cosmic forces they had learned to wield. They could bend time, alter space, and reshape reality, but at a cost. "Prepare yourselves," Hawke instructed, his voice calm despite the storm raging within. "What we do now will be remembered, but we cannot forget. The power we wield is both a gift and a curse." The fleet entered the final stretch of their journey, and as they neared the Dark One's ship, the very stars themselves seemed to bend around them. Space itself was warping, distorting. Time stretched and snapped back like a bowstring pulled too tight. Suddenly, the dark star appeared. It wasn't just a ship. It was a living thing, an entity of pure darkness that seemed to devour all light around it. The Dark One was not a creature, but a force of entropy, a singularity that had grown too powerful to ignore. Its presence was suffocating, its hunger insatiable. The humans felt the weight of its power pressing in on them, the forces of space and time pulling them into its grasp. But humanity had learned the greatest secret the Valorians had to offer: how to wield the power of the cosmos. Now the fight wasn't just against a ship or an army, it was against the very fabric of existence itself. "We have to disrupt its core," Harris said, her voice barely audible of the cacophony of strange, twisting energies that filled the comm channels. "The Dark One feeds on the collapse of stars. We have to stop it before it consumes everything." The fleet spread out, positioning themselves around the Dark One's massive core. Hawking knew they were not just facing an enemy, they were facing a collapsing universe. The Dark One was pulling in everything around it, creating a singularity that would destroy everything in its path. But the Valorian knowledge gave humanity an advantage. It had unlocked the ability to manipulate space-time itself. The human ships powered up their new, Valorian-enhanced engines. The energy around them shifted, reality itself bending to their will. As they activated the cosmic matrix, the human fleet became more than just ships. They were conduits, wielding the forces of creation and destruction. The Dark One struck first, unleashing waves of destructive energy that shattered the fabric of space itself. It was a tidal wave of entropy, pulling ships into its dark heart with a force that seemed beyond comprehension. But the humans were ready. With the knowledge they had gained, they fought back not with weapons, but with the very essence of the universe. "Now," Hawk ordered. The fleet's ships synchronized, focusing their energies into a single point, an attack that resonated across the fabric of reality. The core of the Dark One trembled, destabilized by the force of their combined strike. Space itself seemed to ripple, the forces of gravity and time warping under the intense pressure. The final moments were a blur of light and shadow. The Dark One shrieked, not with sound, but with a vast cosmic cry that seemed to echo across the very galaxies. It was the end of an era, the death of a force older than any of the species in the galaxy. And then, in a single deafening instant, the Dark One collapsed in on itself, its consuming singularity imploding. A burst of light, so bright that it seemed to erase the very concept of darkness, filled the space. The immense weight of the singularity crumbled into nothingness, scattering across the galaxy in a burst of radiant energy. The humans had done it. They had defeated the Dark One, but at an unimaginable cost. As the shockwaves of the collapse rippled through space, many ships were lost, and the fleet was left battered, weakened. The fabric of space itself took time to stabilize. As President Harris surveyed the aftermath, her heart heavy with loss, she realized that humanity had faced an impossible challenge and emerged victorious. The war was over, but the price was high. "We won," Harris whispered, looking at the empty expanse of space where the Dark One had once been. "But at what cost?" Admiral Hawke stood next to her, his face etched with fatigue. "It doesn't matter. We fought, we survived, and we won. We've earned our place in the galaxy." The fleet slowly made its way back toward Earth. Humanity had proven that it was not just a species to be underestimated. It was a force to be reckoned with, capable of altering the course of the universe itself. The galaxy, once teeming with alien empires and cosmic dangers, now knew one undeniable truth. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready for whatever came next.